In this short documentary, we'll be diving deep into the economics of technology industry of California. Technology plays a huge part in our everyday lives, and many of us rarely think about the economics behind it. But our goal for this project is to get you thinking about things such as opportunity costs, social economic issues, and how California came to be known as the home of technology. We are first going to talk about the history of Silicon Valley and how it came to be known as the melting pot of technology and social media startups we know today. In the late 1800s, San Francisco's port was a hub for radio and telegraph industries. In fact, San Jose became the home to one of the first radio stations in the country. In the 1930s, the Navy purchased Moffett Field to dock and maintain aircraft carriers. Many scientists and researchers found work in the area due to the USS Macon and other aircrafts being maintained there. Soon after the Navy's purchase of land, William Hewlett and David Packard founded HP in Palo Alto, which at the time produced radar and artillery technology for the military during World War II. But in the 1950s is when the Silicon Valley we know today began to take shape. At Bell Laboratories, a research center in New York, William Shockley invented the computer processor.
Ever assembled. The year, 1947. And this is one of the latest transistors, a much more sophisticated device, but based on the same physical principles as its ancestor.
In 1956, Shockley left Bell Labs and founded his own company, Shockley Semiconductor Labs, in Mountain View to be closer to his sick mother. Shockley Semiconductor Labs became the first company to produce computer processors with silicon, and that's how the household name was coined. Shockley's company was very successful and hired many recent Stanford graduates, but the success did not last long. In 1957, 8 workers quit Shockley Labs to work with Fairchild on computer components for the Apollo program. Shockley called them the Traitorous 8. Later, in the 1960s, a few of those Traitorous 8 also left Fairchild and went on to found companies of their own, including Intel, AMD, and Teledyne. In 1969, the government worked on a project known as ARPANET at Stanford. This project would later be known as the Internet. In the 1970s, companies such as Apple, Atari, and Oracle were all founded in the area. The 1980s was when the Silicon Valley became widely accepted as a center for the computer industry. eBay, Yahoo, and Google are just some of the companies founded in the 1990s in Silicon Valley, with Facebook, Twitter, Uber, and Tesla joining them in the following decade. California has one of the largest shares of high-tech workers in the U.S. and is ranked 7th among all states for the concentration of advanced industry jobs. The Brookings analysis defined advanced industries as those that spend a significant amount on research and development, and employs workers with higher than average skills in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It encompasses a wide array of professions from management consulting to computer system designs to aircraft parts manufacturing. Today, San Jose is the Silicon Valley's largest city and is the 3rd largest in California, as well as being the 10th largest in the country. And not surprisingly, the San Jose metropolitan area has the 3rd highest GDP per capita in the world. California is one of the most technologically advancing places in the world, and some of the most rapidly growing advancements are made by the many prestigious schools and universities located here. UC Davis is one of the founding leaders in California for medical technology. The school enabled the startup of 14 commercial foundations in the past year, matching the largest number of new ventures launched in a single year. These companies include Muse Microscopy, Logos 4N, Sapiens Therapeutics, and Axygen, to name a few. In his article, The Growing Importance of Technology Economy, Marco Antonio Cavallo argues the impact of technology and economy in the market is very significant, infusing even the measurement of the market economy. Some of the largest indexes known in the market, such as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, DJIA, and the S&P 500, have changed. Tech powerhouses like Apple, Google, and Amazon, whose stocks are valued much higher than those of many long-term industrial members, are replacing large industrial super companies. Apple, with its high market capitalization, accounts for such a large share of the DJIA, for example, that any hiccup in its quarterly earnings can move the entire index. Situations that were once done by other large corporations, such as GM and Caterpillar. Cavallo ties a direct relationship between the growth of the technology industry and how well our economy is doing. While Cavallo's argument is based on a global level, it can also be applied directly to California. California's GDP is $2.488 trillion, and it is the 5th largest economy in the world, surpassing countries such as the United Kingdom and France. The Los Angeles Times says the data demonstrates the sheer immensity of California's economy. Home to nearly 40 million people, a thriving technology sector in the Silicon Valley, the world's entertainment capital in Hollywood, and the nation's salad bowl in the Central Valley agricultural heartland. It also reflects a substantial turnaround since the Great Recession. But this high GDP is part due to the technology industry, and it makes California one of the most expensive places to live. California has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. The U.S. Census Bureau states that 7.5 million Californians, about 19% of the population, live in poverty. One can argue that a socioeconomic issue that is caused by the technology industry is that it causes many Californians to live in poverty because the cost of living is so high. While it may seem that the technology industry has improved California and the lives of its inhabitants, there are also individuals that are negatively affected by it. The next topic we'll be discussing are the opportunity costs of technology. In Psychology Today by Dr. Jim Taylor states that there are people saying that technology is the cure for all of our ills, while there are others saying technology is the ill that needs to be cured. Whether you believe technology is good or bad, there is no doubt that it has a huge impact on our lives, and just like most things, technology is healthy or harmful depending on how it's used. Technology brings us many benefits like FaceTiming family and friends from across the world, communication, staying connected with what's going on in media and news. The list goes on and on. But it also causes problems like addiction, cyberbullying, and poor sleeping habits. Again, the list goes on and on. But when time is being devoted to screens, there are costs in terms of the loss of potential benefits that might be gained from other activities in which we might engage. A 2009 Kaiser Foundation survey found that children between 8 to 18 years old spend more than 7.5 hours a day in front of non-school related screens such as video games, TVs, movies, tablets, and smartphones. This adds up to a whole opportunity cost. Instead of spending so much time using technology, the children in the survey could have spent more time sleeping, exercising, playing outside, interacting with other kids, homework, and spending more time with their family. Children are also incurring other substantial opportunity costs in several important areas of their development. The more time children spend in front of screens means less time and practice with their emotional lives. Technology can be both beneficial and detrimental, depending on the way it's used. Most would argue that there is no better opportunity cost of the economics of technology because it has bettered many people's lives. Technology has greatly changed the way we live our lives, such as the way humans interact with each other, the way we teach students, the medical field, and many others. The money spent towards technology is good, for the most part. If investors didn't spend so much money on social media, the money could have gone towards medical research or technology to make our lives safer. But it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge the millions of dollars that social media brings in. When it comes to opportunity costs of the economy, we argue that, for the most part, there is none. In conclusion, the economics of technology in California is an important one. California's rich history in the technology field is a big part of our culture, and it has greatly improved the lives of many inhabitants. Can you imagine what California would be like without the Silicon Valley and all the great inventions it has brought us? Because I can't.